And that way you can kind of feel the contrast of kind of the warmer woods that are surrounding us and the profile of the cave.
All of that is intended to not only bring up the color temperature, right, which is really important, but elicit this kind of response to organic materials that if it's just concrete and stone, right, you're missing that kind of fundamental connection to something that was alive.
Most of the features of the cave we wanted to accentuate, so grazing light that can hit the cave walls in a nice, elegant way.
With the lighting, there's two strategies because there's two objects. One is the cave itself. The other object is everything we built inside the cave, the architecture. If you think about it that way, then the lighting can actually reflect that as well.
Building on some incredibly pretty sites. Part of our job is to not screw that up. So the natural environment is the lead actor, and this cave is kind of a quiet building. When you're a guest, you have no idea what you're getting into. There's a short stroll from the ranch house, they walk across the river, people are coming up and you can't see it. It's completely stealth. It doesn't need to shout for attention. It's humble, but it feels like you can't imagine it not being here. This project kind of embodies the true nature of quiet architecture. You know, buildings can be subservient and quiet in the place that they are, but still carry a level of confidence about themselves and be good stewards to their context. When we came out, they had excavated to about 70 feet deep. The floor was below the floodplain and the cave was full of water. They didn't really know what they wanted per se, other than the fact that they had the idea of storing their wine collection kind of underground.
We discovered a more poetic version of what they wanted. You know, if the client had the ability or the skills to design the project themselves, they wouldn't need us. We're the kind of instrument, the tool, so to speak, to help them visualize and realize that.
We landed on a solution that was really simple. The program was just the essentials. The big luxury here is that there's a little bathroom.
You have this huge variable, which is the cave. It's a little daunting at first. Instantly, you know there's going to be some issues that have to be resolved. The cave is not a nice, smooth dimension. It's not even all the way from front to back. And so we were working with a new technology, at least a new technology available to architects, which gave us the ability to kind of laser measure everything.
It allowed us to kind of scribe fit the insertion. I kind of always have likened the project to building a ship in a bottle. That wooden box kind of ship in a bottle idea is purposefully kept away from the sides of the cave. And that way you can kind of feel the contrast of kind of the warmer woods that are surrounding us.
Stream, all right. We're back. Okay. Switching gears to Schmedit. Finish color grading this home. This one's on its like home stretch. Kind of getting there. I color graded that last night. Yeah, this one's on its home stretch of getting there. So it's a lot of it's just like really, really, really fine-tuned detail type of stuff. So a lot of it's really just gonna like the color grading, making sure all the colors are correct, and then we're gonna have to go through and like vertically correct a lot of this stuff. You see there's like a slight tilt to this, and then because we don't use tilt shift lenses with the camera, we have to go like if we angle up or angle down a little bit, we have to kind of adjust the cropping accordingly. Let's go for a first pass. Usually the interior lights are just like a little bit much. Lights. So we try to take those down a touch. So we still want it to feel warm, but there is like a limit of, you know, it just looks like that, like a little too yellow. That feels better. I messed up my shoulder working out this morning. It's interesting. Yeah. That's better. Maybe, right? Have to make sure all this stuff is a little bit over further. Ask some stuff. Usually, ground just needs a little bit of love, not a ton. Just give it a little bit more life. And you don't want to overcook, because that can happen so easily. Like you just kind of get so into it, that you end up just want to do like too much to the image, and you just don't want to do that. So this one needs some help, mainly because so when we push the shadows super far, that usually brings out a ton of saturation that we don't want in the image. And the drone itself just naturally, I think, just shoots a little bit too aggressive in terms of like saturation. Like it's overly saturated and like overly contrasted. And so whenever we're editing like drone footage, it always needs a layer of just like desaturation to go into it, just because that makes it feel a little bit more normal. Because like, yeah, you can push the saturation, but like, is that really adding anything to, right? Like before, after, like it looks so much better. And I want to see what we can do with the top here. 'cause I want to kind of bring down the trees just like a little bit in there. It's freezing on me. Is my stream still up and running? It is. Okay, I don't understand why it's doing that. Give me one sec here. Gotta reply to this. Okay. Yeah, so we just want to bring down the trees a touch. To be a ton. Just enough. I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking that like that the building just kind of needs to come up a little more, but I don't think it's gonna be possible, just because of I think we're already kind of pushing it as far as we can already. Maybe not. That's what a lot of like the color grading is just like you're playing with a bunch of knobs, like you know what they're doing, right? Like you're like, hey, I want to get the shadows up, it's got to be brighter, or like, hey, it's a little too saturated, let's desaturate it. But at the end of the day, you're just kind of like pushing things as far as they can go and kind of playing with stuff until it feels right. Like the building is darker, so it's like, okay, let's, bring the brightness up there, but how far can we actually push it? Because we've already pushed the image pretty far, and I still think we have this, right? Maybe you lose some of the crispness like here in like the shadows. But if we just, I don't know if like a denoise is gonna save us. Well, because I'm looking there because like I'm super in the weeds in this video, right? And so we're looking at the tiny details of just perfect. But I don't think that's what you're focused on in this, because I think this is a stronger ending shot than what we had originally before, so I'd like to keep it. I think we roll with it. I think the denoise helps. I think we need to bring down the interiors again. Like I said, like just whenever you have the kind of twilight shots with the warm interiors, there's just like a tendency, and like at least the cameras that I shoot, that it just comes across a little bit too warm. It's like you do want some warmth there, but if the whole thing is egregiously orange, it does not feel good. I'm trying to get rid of some of this tree, and I think we might just mask it out. Save us a little bit of hassle here. Right? Let's take that all down a bit. A lot of it. Yeah, it just feels a little bit more sophisticated when you do that. It's just like, it just is too much orange. This feels good. Yeah, it's a lot much about, like, it's like a softer white as opposed to like an orange glow. This almost needs to be brought down a little bit more. This black point. Just a little more contrast in there. And then it's like, it's looking up, so like everything's need to adjust. Okay, so now I think we go and do our adjustments. So what we're doing here. So first we need to put together an adjustment layer. There. So that, and we want to grid the top. We want to do like 40 by 40. Is a pretty good amount. And blend it a little bit. So what this is giving us is a some guidelines for us to follow when we are verticalizing a shot. So we're here, and effects, canvas, FX overlay. Right, so now we can see pretty clearly, like, is this shot vertical? Are there things that are warped? You know, for this, we're actually sitting pretty good vertical wise, and then we just kind of keep shuffling this along. You know, so for this one, it looks like we're angled down just a touch, and so I'm gonna take that canvas, and then we're gonna bring out the bottom just a touch. Yeah, these ones aren't bad. The drone ones are usually pretty easy. That's nice and oh, that is just like a little bit. This one definitely needs a little bit of love. Yeah, I think it's this needs to like shuffle over, and then do kind of want that roof line at the very, very top to be straight. Right, so it's that, yeah, maybe just like a touch back over here. Yeah, so this is what I mean when it's like, you know, on the home stretch of finishing out a video, a lot of it's really just like this nitty gritty, tiny detail stuff where, you know, are all of our verticals vertical in all of our shots? and it's just kind of going through and adding that last little layer of detailing is seemingly innocuous, right? I don't think most people are going to notice it, but for me, it's the culmination of all the details I think makes or breaks a video, makes or breaks a photo, anything creative, even like a piece of architecture, right? Like if you care about the details through and through, I think when you put it all together, it makes something really special. Kick it out just a touch more. There is like a little bit of warpage here, right? Like you can see towards like the bottom and the edges, like there's a little bit of bending. I think that's okay, as long as the most part. And that's just a lens, what is it? Lens aberration. Especially when you're shooting, you know, what is it, like 16 to 35 is the main lens that I use for most of my stuff. And so at that 16 marker, yeah, there's going to be like a little bit of adjustment that's going to have to be done. Right there. Yeah. Done. Well, these are all actually pretty good so far. There's not been a ton of adjusting we've had to do. Getting this roof line straightened up is probably one of the more important things for this. Especially with modern homes too, right? Like that, if there's any flange in like the verticalness, like it's felt pretty obviously, because like this is like a modern home's like all about its straight continuous lines. Yeah, a lot of these are pretty good. Go me. Oh wait, this one needs some help. I think it's just a matter of like, especially when we're shooting like architecturally, there's a tendency to just try to be as straight on as humanly possible for a lot of these shots. And that's where you get a lot of the adjustments, right? Like if you have this composition, but the composition looks better if we like tilt up and we get a little bit more sky, or we want to tilt down and maybe get a little bit more floor, that's where you start to get that perspective shift. And that's why photographers use tilt shift lens, right? Because they can just set up at that composition, you know, height, but then you can shift your lens to look up without getting that angle, because it's not tilting up, it's just shifting up. So when we do that, we're just like turning our gimbal up a little bit, so it's gonna have that perspective shift. But I think it's super easy for us to knock that out with these transformation. It's just like, it's a little bit piddly, but I think it's okay. Right, because like if we ran around with a tilt shift lens on our gimbal, that would take forever to do stuff, right? Because not only do you have to get at that height and then you're shifting at that height, but then if you want to change your angle at all, like you have to come back, change it a little bit, and go back to that same spot. And it's always going to be just like a little bit off. And so it's like, why not just be a lot of bit off, I guess? But it's like, you know, like kind of like you're seeing here, right? Like it's just, you know, you do it for long enough and then you could become pretty conscious about it, and so you're trying to shoot straight on as much as possible when necessary. Especially making sure horizontals are horizontal. There. Yeah. Okay, so for something like this, think, because we are adjusting it in a way that's bringing the image, right? Because we have this little black bar up here. Because we're adjusting it in a way that does that, what we have to do is take an adjustment layer over the top of it and punch it in just a bit till it goes away. And it's good. Still need to get the diagrams for the animations here. Leave this one for now. This one definitely needs to be straightened. Holy smokes. Especially getting that horizontal roof line to line up. Oh, we should edit our Taliesin photos too. Because unbeknownst to me, right, as a Wisconsin born architect who should know these things, Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin is in Pennsylvania, which is like pretty near close to me. Didn't know that, and so we went camping for my birthday a couple months back, and my wife was like, yeah, we're gonna go to an architectural tour. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like one of the Frank Lloyd, like she's like, oh, one of the Frank Lloyd Wright houses. I'm like, oh, which one? She's like, something called like Falling Waters. I'm like, excuse me, the Falling Waters. So we got to go to that, and I got to do like the whole we did the whole house tour. I got to see like all the grounds, and then obviously went to like the, you know, Taliesin. Oh, not Taliesin. Oh, Waters. Taliesin is the one in Wisconsin and Arizona, right? So I got to go do like the shot type of thing. It's like it's this whole little like area right by it has like a trail that goes down to it and everything, and there's like a lot of photographers there with like tripods and everything set up doing their thing. You could kind of have to wait. It's like every, you know, iconic photo shot, like there's gonna be like a waiting line and like a lot of people shooting the photograph, right? Like what you don't see behind some of these iconic photographs is like the experience behind it, which is usually a ton of photographers and a ton of people trying to do the same thing. It's so worth it. So worth it. Oh my gosh, it was such a beautiful space. You realize like how unlivable some of his projects are. Because like that was his whole shtick, was like people should be experiencing nature and out and about and doing things and not spending time at home. And so he made all of his furniture super uncomfortable, and like some of the spaces like are low-key kind of small and uncomfortable, but I mean, I don't know, it became iconic. So I think it's like interesting to see now that there's this pretty big shift back to like approachable, livable architecture, because I think he had created this trend where like modern architecture had to be pure, like it was a piece of art that people just happened to live in, whereas now it feels like we're kind of shifting away from that finally, and we're moving more towards like your home should be cozy, your home should be livable. And like even in something like this where it's like a very modern home, like yeah, just throw on the campfire, hang around, right? I think the furniture has a lot to do with that too. Like Frank Lloyd Wright stuff is a lot of like built-ins. He designed a lot of the furniture, so it's super uncomfortable, and it's like meant to be uncomfortable because you're not supposed to spend a ton of time in it. So it's like, you know, interesting that a lot of the messaging, you know, when I'm shooting with a lot of architects that do this type of modern work, a lot of the messaging that they're trying to get across is like modern home doesn't have to be uncomfortable, cold, hard, right? I think a lot of people think, you know, Tada Ando with like the cast concrete stuff. They think Frank Lloyd Wright with like, you know, his homes are great, but like, geez Louise, you could not imagine living there. Like just like that one tour through the Falling Waters, and I'm like, no, ain't no way. No inspo is being pulled from here to my condo. And so it's like that's been ingrained for like so long that like modern architecture is cold, that it's like, okay, now that we're finally starting to see advancements in like technology, advancements in, you know, how we design things, and like what this next iteration of like architects are doing, it's like, okay, now we have like a giant hole that we got to dig ourselves out of because modern architecture was cold and not inviting for so long, and now it's the opposite. It's cool to kind of, you know, have a small part and being able to kind of like see a lot of this stuff happen, of like shifts in the industry, trends in the industry, where things are going. There we go. I'm curious where things are going to go now, because I feel like we're in such a consumer-centric era, especially with like the rise of like TikTok and Instagram Reels, where like, even brands now are like very down to earth and approachable is kind of like what they're going for. I'm curious if architecture is going to follow suit, because it's kind of been like a very hoity-toity industry for a very long time. A lot of architects like to grandstand and a lot of egos. So I'm curious if that's gonna adjust and shift now with this kind of like new era we're moving into. I mean, I think we're already seeing it with like the marketing side of things, right? Like if anyone watches the NFL here, like Sunday football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, the Uber Eats commercials that they have, where they're just like, what are you eating, Jerry? Rice. Jerry's eating rice. It's such a good commercial, and it's so funny, and just like the I think it's like Liberty Mutual. No, it's not Liberty Mutual, or like Northwestern Insurance. That's just talking about the guy that's talking to the Alabama players like high tide, high tide. It's like it's roll tide. Oh. I think we're starting to see like the younger generation start to infiltrate the marketing teams, and it's really cool to see because I feel like the marketing is significantly more effective now than it was, you know, even just like 2 years ago. It feels like we're in such a shift towards something that's just like, it's just better marketed. Like the fact that I can recall those commercials, and like, you know, you still see some like pretty poopy ones. I think Liberty Mutual one with like the emu one, like those are the ones where I'm just like, you know, like trying to be funny but is not funny, and it's like the joke's not landing. It's like, I'm like, you got to get younger marketing team in there, and you got to let them do their thing too. That's the biggest thing. It's like people are in these positions where they can do this stuff, but then, you know, you come up with a bold idea, you just kind of get poo-pooed down because it's not what we do. This is not how we market things. You got to let them do their thing too. That's the biggest. Pick up our Spotify audio touch idea, you just kind of get poo-pooed down because it's not what we do. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's been exciting to see where the world of marketing is going. It's stuff that I have to stay in tune with, you know, like whether you want to or not. Like this is, I think this is our world. Like photographers, videographers, no matter what industry you're in, like you are a marketing person to some degree. And so I think you kind of have to know what's going on inside this stuff. I was going to do a breakdown of like what was it? I think it was Texas A&M released like their Halloween blackout uniforms that they wore for like football, and they had like a whole unveiling video to go with it, and one of the comments was just like, whatever social media person did this like deserves a raise. And it was like, that's a team now. Like social media is not just one person anymore, like it's a team of people who are doing this stuff and putting it together. And I was going to do a whole breakdown of like, because they did a behind the scenes thing as well of, you know, how they go about shooting it, how they go about creating this and storyboarding and shot listing, because it's cool to see that amount of effort and work go into like a social media video, right, that has a lifespan of maybe a week. And it's like, okay, if you know Texas A&M is starting to take the things like social media this seriously, right, the whole video production crew going into like one social media video, then it's like, what does that mean in the world of architecture? Like, is that starting to come this way? And I think it is. I think it's a long way out, right? I think video is so new for a lot of architects and builders and designers that they just don't know what to do with it yet. But I think the more that this kind of gets institutionalized and normalized, the more that we're going to be able to kind of do, right? So maybe instead of coming out for like one day, maybe we come out for like a bunch of days and we do a whole bunch of stuff, and we do social media things, and we have like specific social media stuff in mind of like, hey, this is a trend right now, let's kind of shoot I don't know, I can't think of like a TikTok trend off the top of my head because I'm trying to spend less time on TikTok, but like the ski guy, right, with like the dance, the go go, like, is there something we could do with that, with architecture that's like kind of a little more, I want to say modern, but like current is the word. Holy smokes. A little more current that we can do. Is there a shot list that we can put around it? Is there just like a really cool specific social media specific video that we can kind of create with this stuff? That's something I think moving into 2025 might be worth it kind of exploring. Is, you know, like I have a lot of clients who really like, they get the importance about social media. They get it. And so is that something we try to pitch where like, hey, let's, you know, maybe it's just one video, but like let's sit down, brainstorm, and come up and like really cook up something for social media specifically for this project, right? So for like this home in particular, it's obviously going to be something about the Ferraris, and we kind of have something going that we're going to cook up, but it's like, is there something that we can shot list for, script it out, shoot the whole home, obviously, and shoot that part like as a part of that 3-day shoot, like we get what we're gonna shoot, but then we can turn this around in like a week for the social media thing, and then that becomes right, and that's current, is exciting, like you kind of give them a little bit of something to kind of chew on while you're going through the edit, because like the initial edit takes a while, right? Especially 3 days of shooting. That's a lot of footage to go through. That's a lot of interviews we kind of have to cull through, and then we have to find the music, then we have to put together the story, and then usually the first pass edit's not really great, so then we go, not don't scrap it, but then we take it, we rip it apart, and then we do it again, and then that's better. So like that takes time, that takes a while, but if like, is there something that they can kind of chew on while we wait? It'd be kind of cool to see like what the impact of it is like, you know, like if for better or for worse, right? Like, you know, I spend maybe too much time on TikTok and like the internet, but I think I kind of have to do it to a degree as a part of this job to like stay current, to stay in tune with things. I will be right back.
This project kind of embodies the true nature of quiet architecture. You know, buildings can be subservient and quiet in the place that they are, but still carry a level of confidence about themselves and be good stewards to their context. When we came out, they had excavated to about 70 feet deep. The floor was below the floodplain, and the cave was full of water. They didn't really know what they wanted per se, other than the fact that they had the idea of storing their wine collection kind of underground.
We discovered a more poetic version of what they wanted. You know, if the client had the ability or the skills to design the project themselves, they wouldn't need us. We're the kind of instrument, the tool, so to speak, to help them visualize and realize that.
We landed on a solution that was really simple. The program was just the essentials. The big luxury here is that there's a little bathroom.
You have this huge variable, which is the cave. It's a little daunting at first. Instantly, you know there's going to be some issues that have to be resolved. The cave is not a nice, smooth dimension. It's not even all the way from front to back. And so we were working with a new technology, at least a new technology available to architects, which gave us the ability to kind of laser measure everything.
It allowed us to kind of scribe fit the insertion. I kind of always have likened the project to building a ship in a bottle. that wouldn't bother.
We're back. Should be able to finish this and send it off today. Sound design, color grade's done, sound design's done. I think we just got to do a final pass on everything. What I was saying before is maybe spend a little too much time on TikTok every now and then. But I feel like it's kind of important to understand like what's going on in the world of like video and marketing beyond just what's happening in your industry, right? Like specifically with like architecture. Like if you were just looking at things that architects were doing, like you would not push the envelope, right? Especially with video, right? This is such a new thing to them that it's, if you can kind of push the envelope a little bit and show them it works and show like the power and impact that it can have, I think that does a world of good. And I think that comes through like looking at other industries and other pockets of the internet and seeing what's going on. Like that's how I started with the streaming thing, was, you know, I would watch music producers produce their stuff live, which is like super cool. I'm like super fascinated how they go about doing things, and like the thought process behind like what they do is super cool and fascinating, like to me. And I don't even produce music, but it's just something as a fellow creative, like I just intrigued with. And then that kind of sparked the idea of like, you know, is that something I can do with video editing and photo editing? And it just kind of like progressed until I finally am just like, all right, send it, do it, and like see what happens. And I've been like pretty happy with the outcome. Like I'm enjoying doing this. I'm doing the work anyways, but now it's just kind of like, you know, it's kind of like dedicated deep work time in a way for me, where like running your own business, you're kind of getting pulled 100 different directions at every given moment. You know, you have emails to do, you have business development to do, gotta update my website, I gotta, you know, do all this stuff. And a lot of it can kind of take you away from the work itself, which is kind of, you know, for me is like important, right? At the end of the day, that's why clients hire me. It's because I do good work and I want to continue to do good work. And so the streaming has kind of allowed me to just be like, this is my time to just sit, to do the editing, to hang out, and put all this stuff together. And I've been just like, I don't know, I've been enjoying it, right? Because there's a book called like Deep Work, of like you get your best work done when you're able to just kind of sit down and focus on like one thing, get into that flow state. You know, there's tons of benefits to it. And I feel like it's super easy to not get in that state, especially with you know, all that's going on. Text messages, phone calls, emails, like there's a lot. Just being able to kind of carve out this little time of serendipity, it's really nice. I don't know why I do it. You know, it's part for deep work, but then it, you know, kind of opens up the world of me being able to right there. You know, gonna take this stuff and pull it into like more social media clips. Hey, that's a good looking project. I agree. This is I mean, I'm not gonna pick favorites, but you know, might be best of the year type of thing. My manager and I are looking into like award submissions, and I think this one is definitely gonna go to a couple of them, because man, just like everything about it too. Yeah, no, this one was a ton of fun to shoot. It's like not a bad angle of this home or like time of day to capture it. Like it's getting really good light the whole day. The spaces are super dynamic and like ever changing. It's like, say less, I'm in. Eric, if you're still in here, do you want to do a little live edit? I think I do have a question on the ending shot. If we're happy with this one, or if we want to find something different. Because I think the first one we had was it's okay. I think this is a lot stronger. I didn't know if you had something else in mind you kind of wanted to do for the ending shot. Optical flow, enhance better. We're chilling. This one might need to be a little bit color adjusted. This feels good. Feels good. All these are for. Ooh, that one has a little mark on it. Right, create a little bit of. You almost don't want that sliver. Looks great. All right. We're sending it over shortly. We're just doing kind of a final pass, making sure everything looks good. Yeah. Just kind of like the final detail pass of everything, making sure our verticals are vertical, the color grade's in tune, everything's stabilized, the sound design's there. Yeah, so like that stuff, just want to get rid of that. This one has it do like 1.02. A little bit of, yeah. Client meeting, but Dane jumping. Sounds good. Yeah, if you have any notes, like, feel free to send them. I'm happy to do a little live edit sesh right now. This needs to get desaturated a little bit. Feels a little too strong. I think this one's just like a little washed out too. Let's have that little black bar on top. Just an inch. I guess headed into a meeting. Sounds good. Tell him good luck. Oh, this needs to get zoomed in too. Yeah, Dana, if you have any changes you want to see, happy to show it. Do a little live editing. Do I go through all of these? No, it's just that one that had that cropping. Yeah. You're stopping at the bath? Oh my gosh, of course. Yeah, the best videos happen when it's like a collaborative process. Like it's never just, you know, all me putting this together. Like your input, what you guys think is so important to making this stuff even better. Sound like the fine detailed touch-ups right now. Yeah, so it's like that little bit of, so we go through and we make sure everything's like vertical, right? So we have our grid, we adjust it, but then in that adjustment, sometimes we have a little bit of like bleeding coming through. Just have to crop in just a touch. I could almost be a little brighter, maybe. Color. That feels good. Feels good. I think this, I have deep with this one too. Bottom is just like a little too saturated. Color grade. Color grade. Don't want to do it too aggressively. It feels washed out. Maybe it's the whole color shift. Like it's just a little too blue-green. We need to bring some orange in. That's starting to look better, right? Or after. Definitely helping. Yeah, that's so much better. Like, that's egregiously green. A little more toned back. We're not looking at the grass, we're looking at the building. I'm not even sold on this doing anything. Yeah, I think we get rid of this. Skybox is fine. I think if anything, we throw in a little bit of something. The home. Try to bring it out like a touch. We might be getting in the realm of overcooking right now, but it's worth trying. Yeah, just bring just a bit. This gives it a little bit more life. And then track it. Track it. Right. Or after. Yeah, I like it. A little more. There. That feels good. Where's our other color? What happened to this? Why does this look so bad all of a sudden? feel like the changes I made last night didn't like save over or something, or it's just like pulling different file. Right, that looks horrible. World. Okay, we'll just delete it, restart. Huh. Just this building to kind of burn up. Mm-hmm.
Game over.
Better. Don't look great yet. That's kind of hitting our black point, right? To give us the full dynamic contrast we want. Then you almost want to add just like a little feather. Same thing we did in the last shot. We just want to give it a little bit of something. Kind of brighten this up. Pipe removed. This one. Yes. I'll make a note. Yep. Alright, Evernote. Yes, we would go through, make sure that's cleaned up for you. Down a bit. A touch of contrast here. Do the same. This feels more like what it was looking for. I don't know what happened to it. Like, why did it just like just got completely destroyed? Yes, white pipe can be removed. Is anything else popping up in any of these shots? Let me know. Yeah, it's like a little washed out back here. Right? Yeah, that looks so much better. It might even, hold on, what if we just kind of did this whole area? Overcooking. Just this is the zone that's important, and then we'll add a mask in kind of each of these zones and fine tune it. And throw a little bit of mask down here. thing. Yeah, because it's such a dynamic shot. We need to just kind of spot fine tune a lot of these zones, just to make sure the whole image feels balanced. Here, it's really just about adding contrast into some of these hot spots. Yeah. Right? Before, after. Before, after. It feels a lot better. Go here. This one's it's because we pulled the shadows up a ton that we're just getting a huge flash of saturation. I feel like we're gonna pull it back a touch. Is it really just the greens that we want? I think I have an idea. Okay, so square. Oh, hold on. New layer. Square mask. No, I think we have to custom mask it. Right? There, 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 there. So what we're basically saying track it. I don't think it's gonna track well. I think we just go for the custom track right away. Right. Exits. Okay. There. 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 Because we're shifting from the... So we're going from like the hallway into the bedroom. And the bedroom's bright and airy. We got like full sun in it right now. And then the hallway's a little bit darker. There's no wood. It's just like all like that wood paneling. It's such a dramatic shift in light conditions that we really have to just custom mask this whole thing out. Right, because we're coming in from like the darker hallway, right? The woods are just darker, and but we don't want them to be egregiously bright, because we want to brighten the rest of the image. Mask. I think the tedious part of it is because it's a video, which this basically means it's like 30 FPS, which means it's taking a 30 photos every single second. Pretty much what that means. And so when you go to mask something, you need to track that mask across all of those individual photos. So get a little tedious. There is like an auto tracking thing that I can use, but it never it's like 50-50 whether it works or not. And usually even if it doesn't work, it just makes it more of a pain to just hand track it. So if it's something like this where I'm like, I know it's not gonna be able to track it that well, like we just go right for the hand track. Yeah. Right, so then that allows us to do like that, where we can pull up the shadows. Kind of raise contrast a bit. So do we maybe dump that? No, I kind of like what that's doing. Wait, what if we dump that? And what if I do that here? And pull the highlights down. That feels better. Right, that. I think we go here, because right, then when we're back, yeah, I think we want these to be a little bit darker. So just keep that there for now. There. Color grading, saturation. Boom. I think we can bring some of the saturation back then, because we don't have that initial grade. Yeah, okay. And then stabilize. Yeah, okay. That's better. Doop, doop. Next one. So that's good. That needs to get fixed. Coloring on bathroom shot. I think it's just washed out IMO, right? Like it just needs a little bit more contrast to it. Okay, so over push it? Yeah. No, I liked where it was before. Get there. A lot of this is just like send it as far as you can and bring it just back in. That's there. Drop the black point a little bit. And I think we need to denoise a lot of this stuff too. Right, so just add a little bit of denoise to it. That looks a ton better. Color. Ask some of this stuff. brighter, which is what we want. Gotta pull the highlights back just a touch. I almost think like a whole image needs that, right? Yeah, whole image needs that. Overblown, no. Drop the black point a touch. Yeah, that's so much better. And then denoise. Denoise a bit. We don't need to denoise a ton. Because if we denoise, we were talking about this earlier, but like if you denoise too much, it starts to feel like an AI image or like a rendering, because it's like a little too smooth, a little too perfect. So you want to have just like a flavor of imperfection. It. That one's clean. I think. Yeah, these need a little bit. It's like I don't know. I don't necessarily see the appeal of like wanting heavy grain. I guess if you're doing like a music video and you have like really stylized video, like you would want like some grain, some like imperfection, because that just kind of adds to it. I don't know, and stuff like this, I'm just like not a fan. I'd like it to be crispy. Fine. That one's fine. That's gonna need a denoise. A lot of the night shots are usually where we need it, because we need to crank ISO just like a little bit, and then we try to push the shadows further. So we just need a little layer. Denoise, nothing too crazy. Same here. Stabilize. Oh, it's not. This surprisingly, maybe just a touch, just a touch. This is gonna add to the render time a ton. Definitely this. Yeah. That's it. Not that shot. This one. Kind of wants to start a little later. Like it's just too much white wall. Like this feels a little bit more focused. Let's go make sure our track goes the whole way. Feel old. Shoulders. Sorry, popping in and out. That shot over the pool was horizontal. Seems like the roof was slightly off. I think I know what you're talking about. Should be this one. Let's get the grid. Assess. Roof can be a little bit more horizontal. You are correct. There is like a 15-second delay on the Instagram chat versus the stream, which is unfortunately something I can't change, which I wish I could. So it may take me a second to kind of see and react to your stuff. Feels better, right? Actually, it was the shot looking at the exercise and staring. This one? Yeah, it can go up just a touch. Like there. A little more. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Double checking. I need to kick up the bottom a touch. Yeah. Okay. So then, without the grid, feels good. Yeah, especially like that little sliver up top because it's close to like the frame. It like needs to be perfect. Yeah, that's a lot better. Catch. Good catch. Over there. To rid of pipe. Rockies. Pushing the limits of my computer today. Just like a touch better. That whole bottom half. Yeah, this. Shit. accent, it feels a little bit blue. Push the orange and shadows. Bring it back a touch. It's the same thing with that other shot that was coming in. It's just like the saturation on the drone is just, it just pushes it too far every time. It does feel better. Only thing I need from you guys is the editing main animations for these. I don't know if you have like hand sketches or something you can send over, then I can go in and kind of bring them to life. Same with this too, because I know you're talking about like having a match shot, like if there's a shot that's similar to like this one that we could put in place of this, then we could do like a match shot kind of transition that we could, like this could then fade into that, right? So it's like kind of study model into like what it actually is. Map. This. Really need to cover up a very small portion of it. So I think we just export that. Don't export audio. Custom file. I don't have a just me one. Duplicate. Just me. Holy smokes, that's forever. White, full, raw. Okay, we're gonna queue it, and I will be right back.
This project kind of embodies the true nature of quiet architecture. You know, buildings can be subservient and quiet in the place that they are, but still carry a level of confidence about themselves and be good stewards to their context. When we came out, they had excavated to about 70 feet deep. The floor was below the floodplain and the cave was full of water. They didn't really know what they wanted per se, other than the fact that they had the idea of storing their wine collection kind of underground.
We discovered a more poetic version of what they wanted. You know, if the client had the ability or the skills to design the project themselves, they wouldn't need us. We're the kind of instrument, the tool, so to speak, to help them visualize and realize that.
We landed on a solution that was really simple. The program was just the essentials. The big luxury here is that there's a little bathroom.
You have this huge variable, which is the cave. It's a little daunting at first. Instantly you know there's going to be some issues that have to be resolved. The cave is not a nice smooth dimension. It's not even all the way from front to back. And so we were working with a new technology, at least a new technology available to architects, which gave us the ability to kind of laser measure everything.
It allowed us to kind of scribe fit the insertion. I kind of always have likened the project to building a ship in a bottle. That would
Nope, not. Just frame. Beautiful, beautifully pixelated logo. Dude. That's my cache full screen. Okay. Then we go back to color grade. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. We're becoming a full-time stream. We're becoming streamers. Okay. Biggest thing we're doing now is we want After Effects. Right, so here we load up the thing. I'm trying to get better at not potentially doxing myself every time I open my files and stuff. Okay. This should do. Get there one day. For now, we continue to dox. Or X. I think it's 5, but whatever. That. In our there we go. Ew. Biggest thing. Super duper easy. We just take out the inspector for now. You just have to create a mask around the bowl. It'll be interesting because it's kind of a dynamic thing. To subtract. You have to path it. Doot. There. And then gone. Right? Yes. Go away. Half that way. There. Yeah, so it's covered up the whole time. And then we let's do object, expand it like 3, and then reference frame.
This couldn't happen again. This is that once in a lifetime.
Thanks, Bill.
This is the thrill divine.
Scale. There. Bill. Bueller. Save. stuff. Really just like what's immediately around it. So like, huh? Oh, cancel. Hold on. It's dead. So, the, there we go. Dang, that looks pretty good. Except why in the world is it like, huh? For some reason it just like deleted like 5 pixels around what we were editing. Content aware fill, apply it, okay it, and then it. Look at that. It's not even there. Question is, will we be able to sustain this while it moves? $1 million question. My guess is maybe. Close that. And then we say fill it. I think it's gonna be close. It's a small enough object and it's there for short enough time that I think it can be messy or like not perfect, and it's gonna be, look at that. Look at that. Look, wait, pull who? We're cooking. We're just cooking. Okay, my question is then, can I just have this? To my reference the whole thing? Pops in the frame later. That's fine. Take this, export. I don't want to re-export the whole video, so what we did is we just took that small little portion, and we're going to took that small little portion. We created the fill layer over the top, and that's what this little like sliver you're seeing is. And we're gonna take that and we're gonna put it on. We're gonna overlay it over the top of the video we have, so it's just this little section. So we keep that original resolution, we keep all that information there because we want to keep these like the high res video intact as much as we possibly can, and we just do that little overlay on top of it. And how that is, we have to do it in QuickTime. We do RGB alpha, export to white full pics, and render. Should take 10 seconds. Shout out. Yeah. Here. So, new bit, we do 6.x. And we take our pixel, that, take that, just grab the video. The thing is, I'm gonna start a frame right there. Yep. Da, da, da. Da, da. Just proxy it really quick. Do that. Well, that doesn't work. I can see over top of it. Gone. Ooh, that's a problem though. What is it doing that? Too dark. It goes back to its original color. All I have is this. It's literally. Why are you doing that? Composition. Yeah. Color. No, no, that's. It's because it's technically black, right? It's technically. Right, this whole thing is black, so it has this like overlay. Give it a little bit of movement. Yeah, and it doesn't have that weird overlay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I've just seen a composite it. That's the issue. Okay, white pole, gone. Everything else is good. Good. Right. One thing I'm actually kind of concerned about is audio, actually. Does it come down a touch? So like everyone has a different vocal type of inflection, and so you need to kind of alterate people's audio differently in order for it to sound the same. It's like, let's turn this off. I just want to listen to it. From my body to guys. I think this needs to come up just like a little bit more. Yeah, this feels better, right? Yeah, this feels better. Okay. I just want to make sure that the audio is like actually balanced and not all over the place. What if, hypothetically, we just do this and run it the whole way? That one's fine. Yeah, just get rid of that, right? I could go. So the issue we're kind of running into is there's like a lot of really tiny little black snippets, depending on how much we have to straighten an image, that bleed through on the edges. I don't notice. They're super duper small. They're really tiny. They bug me because, especially, you know, you need to straighten everything. Everything needs to be vertical. So when I'm like watching it back and I see these like little frame adjustments, I'm like, I know that it needs to be zoomed in just like a touch. So let's just go back through, make sure we're all clear and good. And so instead of adjusting, we're just throwing like a little. Why it's. Huh? Huh? What? My keyboard being funky? Anything. Why is that doing that? It's so weird. Just close it, turn it off, and turn it back on. The 7 on my keypad is supposed to like enable or disable clips, and for some reason it's just taking my little like finder and it's just slamming it back to like the beginning of the video, which we have a whole different key for. So go with the whole turn it off, turn it back on, and hopefully that fixes it. Maybe. We're definitely pushing our computer to its limits with like, we have like 3 streams running. We're like running complex VFX and color grading things on my computer. And so it's a lot. She's hanging on. She's holding on. What's up, Beatty? We're doing good. We're doing good. Running into little technical difficulties trying to get resolved. To function properly. It's still a great program. It's still much better than Premiere Pro, IMO. Yeah. Apology for Maple shout out the other day, but you were offline already. Yeah, I was Mondays are just kind of like my get my whole life in order type of days, and so just like putting together the plan for the week. And so we have our big ol' editing checklist. It's probably like super small. Here, wait, hold on. So this is our to-do. So this is like all the stuff we're trying to do today. This is probably later today, and then this is tomorrow and Friday, because the holidays are coming up and a lot of people are going to be out of office, which means we're not going to get feedback on our stuff. And I'd like to get a lot of this video and photo work kind of pushed out there before all that happens. So then, because like my wife and I are going to the Florida Keys for Christmas, so it'd be nice to just go there and relax. See, nice to find a new creative person on here. Thanks, man. Yeah, what do? You in photography? You in videography? What are you up to in the creative worlds? Neither. What do you got going on? I work in film, TV. That's cool. So are you like director, cinematographer, assistant? That's a whole different world. That's like a world that I'm like interested in terms of like how you guys operate and like run your shoots are like so different than how I do stuff. So it's just interesting to see all that different stuff. Man, it would be cool if DaVinci Resolve decided to work today. It's having such an issue. Okay, what if we kill that? Let's keep that going. Well, a bit hard to explain, but this would be cool. Let's hear it. I'm on the edge of my seat. Resolve and task. Just end it, end it. I don't know what else to do other than just continuously slamming the resolve thing. It's not working. Like even my like taskbar is not even letting me. Hold on. I run it as an admin. Run it as administrator. Oh, progress. I don't know why it does this. It does this like once every 3 months, where it just like won't load. The program just like decides it just like we're not doing it. Like we won't load. Like this is what we're looking at right now. Like, yeah. Like it's just sitting here doing this. So, hey, we're back. We're so back. Yeah. You're a tech manager specializing in cinematic multi-camera capture. So equipment, sourcing, engineering, workflow design, live color, Fiverr, blackout, hall, etc. are all under my watch. My company typically works in high-scale concert films. Ooh, music specials, comedy, fashion, award shows. That's crazy. Wait, that's like such a cool job. It's that whole industry, man, there's so many things that you don't think, like there's so many careers out there that you wouldn't like. Usually I think people gravitate towards like cinematographer or director or like assistant, but it's just like tech manager of just like we hold it down. We got everything. Typically sit between creative and technical. That's a really cool kind of balance to have, creative and technical, because I'm like very in creative right now in terms of like what I do, and so sometimes it, like, you know, all creative is like gray, everything's subjective, and every now and then I'm just like, I really crave just like black and white hard numbers. Like there's a right way, there's a wrong way to do things. It's just like some form of balance. So that feels like a really cool kind of area to be in. So with that, I imagine you're probably in like, I don't, not to like dox you or anything, but I imagine you're probably in like, you got to be in like a big city for that stuff, right? For to get like the concerts, the music specials, and comedies. I can't imagine like the middle of nowhere, Nebraska's having a lot of concert action. How did you get into that? Is that something you'd like go to film school for, and you just kind of like discover along the way, or? LA, New York. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's like the epicenter for like film, TV. It's all over the place. That's cool. So you get to kind of, I mean, travel for work. I do the similar thing where, you know, travel for work sometimes. And I think a lot of people tend to think it's like exist. Stay. DaVinci Resolve is on a struggle bus right now. Finishing my thought. Where a lot of people are just like, oh, it's so cool. You get to like travel for work and do all these things. And I'm like, it is cool, right? You get to see like new places, new things. I'm sure you get to see like new venues, new areas. But at the same time, like I'm there and like I work, and then when I'm done working, it's like you just go back to the hotel room, you like order food, and you just like crash out for the night, and then wake up and then do the same thing the next day. Register. What? DaVinci Resolve's on like a crash out right now. Never had this issue before. Yeah. Good going. I don't know how to say it. What is that? Saugot? Good going to you too. Trying to fix our DaVinci Resolve. Having some technical issues. Yeah, when you're there, you're not really experiencing that place has to offer. So true. You just kind of like we're going to our work, and then we're coming home, and then like, man, I imagine that you're probably like on your feet, going the whole time too. Okay, you should be back. I don't think there's anything else I needed to finish here. Oh, the adjustment layers is what I was finishing. So how do you get into something like that? Was it just like okay, so 7's still not working. You go to film school, kind of like discovered along the way? Is it something that you kind of pursue out like right from the gate? Because like for this, right, like I've fell into the world of like architecture filmmaking is what I would call it. And it's, you know, I went to school for architecture because like that's what I wanted to like do initially, and then after, you know, picked up the camera because like I wanted to go work for these like really large prestigious like architecture firms, right, like OMA, Bjarke Ingels Group, Genie Gang Studio, like the best of the best. And I'm like, in order to stand out, I gotta have something more than just my portfolio. So kind of filmmaking was the thing that I picked up, like the storytelling, and then it just kind of kept snowballing until I graduated, and I was like, I could probably do this like full time. And then that was 2019, spring of 2019, and it's been 5 years, and we've just been cruising ever since. So it's just kind of like, you know, accidentally stumble into this stuff. On vacation, still trying to squeeze in some work for a couple hours. Yeah, that's it's ever ending, man. Definitely feel that. I think we're going to Florida for Christmas, and I'm like, I'm still probably gonna end up doing like some work stuff. But I love it. Like I don't think I wouldn't change any of this for the world. Like this is exactly what I want to be doing. There are days where it definitely sucks, but it's for the most part, I think, pretty amazing. Went to college for different things, and the last was film, but I dropped out 2 times, and after the second time I never went back. I mean, it all happens for a reason, right? Like you go, you kind of get your, you know, get what you need to get, and then, you know, a lot of people ask me like, do you regret going to school for architecture? I'm like, no, not at all. Like it made me who I am, right? It opened up a lot of doors for me in terms of the architecture, like getting in with like architects initially. Never finished anything, just wasn't for me. Yeah, and it feels like, you know, at least for film, right, like my outside perspective, like outside 2 cents is like, it tends to get a little too into like the artistry side of things, where like everyone's trying to be like the next Scorsese, the next like Christopher Nolan, and like it has to be like a silent art film type of thing. Because like I've tried to work with like as assistants like people who've like graduated from film school, and it just like the jive wasn't there. Like I've had better success working with people who went to school for architecture and enjoy photography, and then I just have them come out here because they have an innate appreciation for like the work, and it's just figuring out how to best capture those angles. Okay, she's done. Yeah, it definitely feels like in this profession, like doing the work is arguably more important than like getting the education in it. I don't know if that's true. I never went to film school, so like you have way more experience than I do with that stuff. People that go to film school that work for me have textbook ways drilled into their head and they're never effective. Yeah, okay, that's the same thing with like architecture, where like the world, there's different like architecture schools. Some of them lean more towards like the technical side of things, right? Like how does this how does this wall detail kind of come together? And then there's some architecture schools that are more about like the larger big picture vision, which is what I went to, which is just like, this is how you design, this is how design thinking happens. And I found it leaned maybe a little bit too into like the artistry side of things. I'm just like, we got to know how to put a wall together at some point, right? And then I think it's gotten to a point where like even people coming out of the program now are like not effective type of thing. So it's tough. Yeah, so it's definitely tough, especially with like creative fields. There's like a hard balance of like teaching you how to think in terms of design and artistry, but then also knowing how to be effective when it comes to like when push comes to shove, right? Like when you're actually in the field, like how is this actually gonna impact us? So yeah, I definitely feel it feels like there's a lot of similarities between like film and architecture school in terms of like, I feel like there's probably some out there that get it and do a really good job, but others out there who are just like, like you said, just like way too much textbook and in the weeds. Best way to learn is to apprentice under someone that does what you want to do and just absorb. Yeah, that was the toughest part about starting this, right? It's like there are under 10 people, I would say, who do architecture filmmaking in the world, full stop. I know most of them, like we're homies, because like you kind of have to be, right? Like there's so few of you doing this thing. But I'm going with this. Oh, like so like when I wanted to like do this, like there's not a whole lot of people for me to like learn and to like apprentice under to try to get better at this, to like understand the business. So it's just like kind of more or less the school of hard knocks, where I had to just kind of like stumble forward and learn how to do these things. I think there's some like adjacencies with like photography and stuff, but I think the approach you take to delivering a video is a lot different because it's so tailored to that client. That the story we're trying to tell for, Lucid Architects here for this project is very different than the story we would tell for the interior designer who was on this project. So I guess just different stuff. So it's very much like would have loved to work under somebody who is doing this thing. Okay, that feels straight now. Literally only 4 people that are tech managers in cinematic multicam. I mean, yeah, I could imagine that sounds like such like a niche job. But I mean, hey, it sounds like job security though, which is pretty nice. At least people that do it correctly. So true. Yeah, it's just like anytime my wife is at work and tells people that like, oh, my husband does like videography, the first thing is just like, oh, like, so like real estate videos. And she's like, a little bit more than that. Man, so are you like managing the, like, when a concert's going on, you're managing like the cut to like different cameras and stuff for like the recording of it? Business partner and you are two of them. Good for you guys. Got the market cornered now. World is your oyster. I mean, that's what I found with this. It's just like, you know, you kind of get into it, you get good at it. There's not a lot of people that do what we do, and so it's just like, yeah, you could hire run-of-the-mill videographer for sure, but there's just something about, like, in my world, like the appreciation of architecture, that I think makes these films like that much better. A lot of layers of sound design could be adding, but just like, again, just like, I don't think you want to overcook here. I think simple better. The bird sounds is an absolute staple in everything I shoot. Just has that little layer of like texture that makes, you know, everything sound a little less stock, a little more like filled out. Okay. She's good. Watch this destroy. Oh, that's an upstream thing. Director, technical director, vision mixer. Okay, the Pond has different philosophies of multi-camera. Wait, so what is the day-to-day then? This will 100% tank my stream. It's done. Do it, push it, and if it crashes, it crashes. Send it. I think send it. Best of luck. Basically, make sure things don't fall apart and look nice at a basic level. Man, that's that can't be easy, especially with like audio video, like even at like my small scale, right? So because I shoot, like I do it all, right? We do the shot listing, the interviewing, the shooting, cinematography, lighting, editing, all that stuff. We do it again, even at this level where it's like very small scale and we have a lot of control over things. There's still like tons of technical issues that like pop up, whether it's like cameras not working or, you know, luckily we haven't had too many like corrupted file issues, but like, you know, audio being the big thing. Like if we're shooting a client interview and the last thing you want is to get done at the very end of that, look at the audio and be like, weren't recording, or like audio thing died, so we got to do the whole thing over again. So yeah, as I can imagine, that the larger and larger things get, like what you're working on, like there's a lot to manage. Stream's still holding up pretty well. Especially with over 20 cameras. Man, could not imagine what it takes to manage all that. Because yeah, we usually run like 2 cameras, so I'll usually have an assistant come out with me on like shoots like this, and we have we basically just run mostly like camera and gimbal setup, and we'll have one mounted vertically for like social media and then one mounted horizontally, which is shooting like what you're seeing now. And like, it's not too bad. We've gotten to a pretty good point. We've gotten to a pretty good flow in terms of like the shooting of all that. Man, 20's wild. There's millions of people watching live. Yeah, no pressure, right? Like, if you mess up, oh man. Man, it's quite the job. Quite the job. I mean, it keeps it interesting though, right? Like, if there wasn't any stakes or like, you know, anything or pressure like that, probably get maybe a little stale, but definitely keeps things fresh. Yeah, like when we're like doing shoots like this, I mean, this was 3 days, so it was pretty chill. In terms of like, go there, we're just kind of getting the things. But like, there's some shoots where it's like, you know, especially residential, like it's someone's home that we've already handed the keys over to, and so asking them to kind of relinquish control of their whole house for a whole day, and it's like, and these are endeavors, right? Like, we're taking all of your accessories out and like very fine tuning, you know, like a shot like this, a shot like this, like there's a ton of stuff on the counter, like we're gonna take it all out and we're gonna put in like a little couple things here and there. So it's a little nerve-wracking if a homeowner's there and they're kind of watching it. But usually if it's like a day, it's like, you know, we got a lot to shoot in a day, so we're doing as much as we can, and then like sunset hits and it's like we're running all around the house because you only have like 15 minutes at best. Like when it's like this time of day, you have like 15 minutes where you're trying to get as much as you possibly can because it's the perfect time of day. You still have sky that you can kind of see, the lighting is perfect, you get that interior glow into these spaces, you can look in. So it's just like a mad scramble, and then we're done, and then it's like, you know, if it's summer, I'm a big dude, like I'm sweating, I'm just like, we did it. We did it. But yeah, keeps it interesting, keeps it fun. The thing I like about it is like we're all constantly learning something new, because while things have gotten better over the last couple of years, it's very much an uncanny valley still in the niche. I mean, it's a good place to be, right? I think that was, you know, I spent some time on like r/videography, like r/editing over on Reddit, and like everything that they tell is just like, you can't just be a generalist. Like you have to find this niche, this like very small sect that you can kind of be in, because that's where like all the growth is going to happen, is like in a very small thing. So I think like good for you that you're on that. Like it sounds like you found something that's really good that you love, and not a lot of people can do it. So you got some job stability. And also to find work in the first place, right? Yeah, like if they, you know, it's something that was, I think everybody, maybe not everybody, maybe it's just me, like in the beginning was very like shotgun approach of like this is what I wanted to do, right? The architecture, the interior design, the very design forward documentation and storytelling. But there wasn't a ton of that at the time. Like, it's slowly becoming like a thing. Like, we're kind of, you know, building that portfolio, that proof in the pudding. But in the beginning it was rough. And so it's like, reach out to golf courses, reach out to real estate agents. It's like stuff that I can, you know, shoot with the drone. And like, that was, my heart was never in it, right? It's, you know, and for me, it's like, I have to be interested in it for me to like be full commit. Like, it's hard for me to just try to like fake interest in, you know, whatever the newest like product type of thing. Like, I did a couple product videos too. And then, you know, once I started really, really committing to architecture, that's when things started to get so much better. LA's quite dead in terms of film industry nowadays, even the whole country in general. That's what I've heard. Like that, like, right, like get on like the Reddit, like cinematography editors, it's just like, that's like the general vibe, is just, it's tough to find work in film, which is wild because like a lot of these projects are like multi-million, like what, like Red One was like 200 some million dollars of production. Like, what was Red One production budget, the new Christmas movie? Yeah, $250 million for like the crappy Dwayne The Rock Johnson playing Dwayne The Rock Johnson Santa Claus thing. And it's like, where's the money going towards? It feels like it's just going towards like the big names, right? Like, in order to bring Chris Evans, Dwayne Johnson, guy from Whiplash, God, what is his name? J.K. Simmons out. Like, that's probably where most of the budget goes, right? And then you're just kind of like, just bring in the, you know, cut corners as much as you possibly can on the actual like filming side and like editing and all that stuff, and we'll just, the big names will hopefully sell it. I have to get out to Toronto, London, or Abu Dhabi to find somewhat reliable work. That's where great majority of production is taking place nowadays. That's crazy. Really? Toronto, London, and Abu Dhabi. London I could see. Toronto and Abu Dhabi. That's wild. What is it about those places? Is it just like, I imagine taxes probably have to do something with it, because like you can get like tax credits for shooting a film in certain states in the US, I'm pretty sure, because it's like marketing for them to a degree. Tax breaks for production incentives. Yeah, that's what I figured. Right? It's all money. It's all money. And I mean, that was, you know, like, what gets measured gets made type of thing. Like, if you measure the success of a business on how much of a profit margin that I can turn, like, that business is going to do everything in its power to turn that profit margin. Whereas like, if you start measuring the success of a business of like, are we winning Oscars with these films? Are we winning awards with these films? Are we, you know, whatever different measuring stick you could use, then it becomes less about cutting all the corners possible to make as much money. Then it becomes more about like the artistry of the film. But yeah, unions also not really a thing. Yeah, dang, never thought about that. Yeah, because the film union's kind of crazy. In, what is it, the SAG? Because like, there was a, because like, what, when the writer's strike was going on, like, you couldn't be, like, you couldn't take like any work. Like, you had to be with the writers, otherwise you're gonna get kicked out and you're not gonna get called for like any work through the union type of stuff. I mean, we just like, overall, IMO, I think that's a good thing. But I can imagine, right, you're bigwig exec at a company that is like, you're like, how can we get rid of this? studios are getting really tired of going back and forth between unions in Hollywood, so they'd rather not deal with it. I mean, when you look at the budgets, man, the budgets are crazy, and you're like, I was talking with my friend about this, like early 2000s, there was a lot of films getting made that were like, what was it? Benchwarmers, like the comedies that I grew up in, right? Like Benchwarmers, The Longest Yard, the Bourne movies, not comedy, but just like, they're kind of like, they're like a little risky, you know? They're not IP, they're not, you know, crazy marketable to the masses, but they did really well. And then now it's like you're seeing these crazy budgets and you're seeing the same 5 actors in almost every single movie, and then like every article that comes out is just like, Madam Web lost a bunch of money, Red One lost a bunch of money. It's like, are we gonna change what we're doing, or are we gonna continue the course and just hope for the best? Reveals yet how equal compensation is possible with the streaming era and residuals, since the landscape is changing away from major theatrical releases. Yeah, and it was like watching the Hot Ones episode with Matt Damon, where they were talking about like the DVD, having DVDs after the theatrical release was like, that's where we're going to make a lot of our money back, is because like people are going to go to Blockbuster or whatever, they're gonna you know, they're more willing to kind of try it out. Whereas like now, you know, like, you know, going to a movie is kind of an endeavor. Like it's $40-50 minimum for just tickets, and then you get popcorn on top of that. There's like $20-30. Just like, it's kind of expensive. And so like people are just like, I don't know, probably a little less willing to go like risk it, right? Like, will this weird movie be good, or, you know, am I just burning $60-70 for nothing? Same thing with music. Vast majority of artists are making most of their money from sync licensing. I don't know what sync licensing is, but yeah, I have a buddy who's in like music production, and we were talking about that too, where it's just like, you know, you're making pennies on the dollar for Spotify, and like Spotify's barely even turning a profit too with what they're doing. But like, it's not, they can't even afford like the artists are complaining that they're not making enough money on Spotify, but Spotify's barely making any money because they're doing what they can to like just stay afloat, and the rest is going to like the record label, and like a little bit's going to the artist. So it's like, if you have beef, like have beef with the record label. But even then, it's like, is the record label doing much right now? Like, because I think it's like the marketing side of things that they kind of tout around, or like they can line up collabs with, you know, if you're on Universal, you sign with Universal Records, that you can be like, hey, you collab with Harry Styles, and that's gonna go crazy. Music placement in TV or film commercials. Oh, sync music placement in TV or film commercials. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. It's like that, and like touring too, but it's like, in order to tour effectively, you need to be doing like crazy shows, right? Like you gotta be, okay, there we go. Okay, that's probably why my 7 wasn't working. Oh my gosh. Learn. But you need to be doing like what, stadium tours and like crazy stuff like that. And if you're not able to do that, then it's like, you know, probably not making like a ton of money. Only the top 0.0% tour actually make something worthwhile. Yeah, like I'm sure the Eras tour with Taylor Swift went crazy, right? But you know, if you're doing like a really small show, like you're probably only making a couple $100, and if you're a band, you're splitting that $100 between like 4 or 5 people. You're like making like nothing. Taylor Swift, yeah, I figured. Yeah, I'm hoping this stuff yeah, and I was like talking with my friend, it sounds like the music industry is kind of at like a breaking point right now where like they don't know what to do. Like how do you fix this? Like the whole model itself is broken, right? Like you're not making money off of streams, you're barely making money from touring, if at all. And then like it really feels like you have to be like content creator personality as well on top of that to even market any of your stuff. It's like I don't know. There's a lot shifting in this this new landscape, the world, where like you know, I think the whole entertainment industry as a whole feels like it's very unsure of itself. Like social media stuff, like it's that one. Okay. You know, everyone's just following whatever the next platform is doing, and then like they just pass something that's like TikTok's banned too, so it's like what are people who are, you know, really relying on TikTok gonna do? What is that called? Laundry. Most of the venues are Rave Live Nation. They control ticket prices, so you're lucky to get like 30% back to take all profit from concessions. Get a cut of merch, so by the time the crew is paid, there's absolutely nothing. Yeah, that's a lot of middlemen. Which feels like it doesn't, you know, does it need to exist type of thing? Because like, what's the value aside from like, why can't the venue put on its own like ticket platform? That'd be egregious. Because it's the same thing with DoorDash. Like I get the value prop of DoorDash though is you get like guaranteed delivery no matter the place, right? Like it used to only be you could order from whatever local Chinese restaurant, pizza restaurants. That's it. But now it's like you can get Chipotle delivered right to your door because of DoorDash. So like, okay, I'm like, there's value prop there, so they mark up their prices. But then, you know, even if I do an order for pickup at like our local like sushi place down the road, if I order it through DoorDash, it's like 20% more expensive than if I just ordered it through their own website. And we're just like, what's the point of the DoorDash if they have their own front-facing website type of thing? So that kind of feels like, you know, Live Nation, Ticketmaster, all that stuff. It's just like, maybe I don't know enough about like what goes into this stuff, but just like, would it be that hard to implement every venue to implement their own ticket stuff? Because then you don't have this massive conglomerate who's providing, you know, a small value. We're right at the back though.
This project kind of embodies the true nature of quiet architecture. You know, buildings can be subservient and quiet in the place that they are, but still carry a level of confidence about themselves and be good stewards to their context. When we came out, they had excavated to about 70 feet deep. The floor was below the floodplain and the cave was full of water. They didn't really know what they wanted per se, other than the fact that they had the idea of storing their wine collection kind of underground.
We discovered a more poetic version of what they wanted. You know, if the client had the ability or the skills to design the project themselves, they wouldn't need us. We're the kind of instrument, the tool, so to speak, to help them visualize and realize that.
We landed on a solution that was really simple. The program was just the essentials. The big luxury here is that there's a little bathroom.
You have this huge variable, which is the cave. It's a little daunting at first. Instantly, you know there's...
Yeah. Go walk my dog and eat some food. We might be streaming later. Might be streaming later. We have a lot of editing to do, so it feels like a mine as well, right? We're here. Just whip it up. Taking service rights for most venues so that we perform in small capacity. 2 arenas to stadiums, so good luck trying. Oh, that makes sense. We got it locked down. Yeah, no, I appreciate you stopping by. We'll be back most likely a couple hours. Just have to like rest, reset. My shoulder's like killing me right now. Yeah.
This project kind of embodies the true nature of quiet architecture. You know, buildings can be subservient and quiet in the place that they are, but still carry a level of confidence about themselves and